Most people think they are stuck because they lack discipline or motivation or clarity. But what if I told you you're not stuck? You're just running on a program you never consciously chose. You know, most of your fears, beliefs, and things that you think about yourself were installed in you before you were even 7 years old. And if you don't become aware of that, you can spend your whole life trying to fix a symptom instead of, fixing the root cause. So we are finally in Norway. Me, Tommy, and Tindra, we took a flight over to Norway. It's just crazy because I've been so scared of flying with Tindra. But I passed through it, and now I'm so happy because we are up in the mountains. It's a little small village named Sauda. And Tommy have his lovely cabin up here, and it's just so cozy. I've been, though, very sick the last week, and it have really forced me to slow down. We also have visited Tommy's new house that he actually just bought. It is a very beautiful and big house. You have, the ocean right there, like a private little beach. I'm so happy for Tommy getting this house. Well done, honey.
On my way, on my way, on my way, on my way. I would like to reach out my hand, me say me tell you to run. On my way, on my way. Nobody say, nobody on. Well, pick me up with golden hand. Me say, me tell you to run. On my way, on my way. Nobody say, nobody on. Well, I would like to hold my little hand. I will run, I will cry. I would like to hold my little hand. I will run.
And now when everything have been forced to slow down because I've been super sick, and Tommy as well, it have really forced me into, thinking and just being with myself and slowing down and reflecting over a lot of things in my life. And that also comes down to my own thoughts. Why do I have the thoughts that I have? And it's kind of an interesting rabbit hole to go down, because I realize often that things that I'm thinking is not really mine. It's something that I have learned from society, from my parents or whatever. So it's actually not just my thoughts. And what I come to realize that I don't think a lot of people is reflecting on is how many thoughts and how many habits and everything that we have that aren't really ours. From the age 0 to 7, we are like a little sponge. We just absorb everything. We learn by observing others. We learn by other people's behaviors. You don't really question or analyze other people's behaviors and why they are doing what they are doing. You just copy other people. So when you are in this stage, you learn very quickly how love works, how to get approval, what makes people proud of you, and what makes you feel safe. And it's here where identity is formed. Not consciously, but emotionally. You just take on everything. Just to take an example in my own life is that for the longest period of time, I was a car girl, and especially a Mustang girl. So I was driving around in this old Ford Mustang from 1967, and reflecting over this, looking back, this was something I have learned to implement into my identity because I just wanted to make my father proud. Not because I wanted it, just because I wanted to have his approval. It's nothing wrong with that. Everyone wants to have approval from the people that are important in their lives. But it's just to recognize what kind of behaviors comes into my life and are in my life because of different, reasons. Because this hit me in life, and I remember very clearly going into my boss. I was working at Mekonomen selling spare parts, and I walked into my boss after realizing this is not me. This is just something I do for my dad to make him proud. And I walked up to my boss and said, "Hey, do you want to know something?" He's like, "Yeah, what?" "I hate cars," I told him. And he was like, "What are you saying?" And I told him, the whole identity that you have been seeing me driving around my Ford Mustang, I was competing in drag racing. This is just a facade. It's not me. I hate cars. I feel that they are loud, they are smelly, and it's just not me. It's just something I have taken on to get approval from my father. And he was like, interesting. And it's such a big step when we are admitting to ourselves what is our reason that we are doing what we are doing. It's such a relief to myself. It's very scary. It's like you are releasing a backpack that you are carrying, but you don't really know why. So it's so freeing when you are honest to yourself. We all want to be loved. We all want to be respected. We are all wanting to be seen by other people, and especially the people that are important in our lives. But it also comes to an expense that we are not truly, fully honest with ourselves and what our hearts are pumping for or not. And we are so caught up in the acceptance of others that we are completely forgetting about ourselves. So it's time to ask ourselves, how many of the versions of myself is just strategies to be loved and accepted? And how many choices are not aligned, but they are just inherited? You don't get results based on what you want. You get results based on who you believe you are. You can want freedom, but if your identity is, "I am so responsible," you will completely sabotage all the ways you can have freedom. You might want abundance of money, but if your identity says to yourself that money is evil, money is hard, money is the root of all evil, you will repel it. We all want love. But if your identity says, "I must perform to be chosen," well, you will never feel safe. Let's stop on the topic of money for a moment. Because most of us, when we grow up in this society, we hear truths that says money doesn't grow on trees. Money is hard. Rich people is greedy. Even if we look at movies, how do we get programmed? Well, if we just see when we are a child, we have Cruella de Vil, we have Donald Duck and his uncle, and for instance, we have, The Devil Wear Prada. In so many movies, have you been thinking about how often rich people are portrayed as evil and people that are greedy and so on? And this is something you need to be thinking about and observing, and what is this doing with my subconscious mind? And what am I thinking that is possible for me even? And who am I becoming if I get money into my life? Because this is going to be very, very crucial to identify in order for you to be just overflowing and then have an abundance of money. So this is just pure programming. And it's not until you are starting to tell yourself the truth And what is the truth? The truth is that it's an abundance of money out there in the world. And money can do so much amazing things in your life and in other people's lives. So money will just amplify who you are. If you are a greedy and kind of a nasty person, well, you're gonna be a bigger, greedier, nasty person. But I have seen so many times and times again when people get money and you having a really loving heart and you just want to give to others, well, you're gonna amplify that and you're just gonna exceed that and you are just gonna be able to do so much amazing things in this world. And then it becomes a tool for you to create good in this world and amplify who you already are. The difference between someone who is wealthy and someone who's struggling with money is not time, because we all have 24 hours a day. The difference is identity. What kind of identity do you have on yourself? Do you have a belief that the only way for you to earn money is that you trade your time for money, the only asset that you can never get back? Or do you build systems, skills, businesses that works beyond you? Money follows identity and not effort. To really understand why, we need to understand something very important and something really, really interesting. And that is that 95% of your life runs by your subconscious mind. We are here talking about your habits, your patterns, and your emotional reactions. Only 5% is conscious thoughts. That is why motivation doesn't last. You are using 5% against your 95%. And that is why people just think that I am lacking discipline. I'm not disciplined enough. But do you know what? Your subconscious mind is not here to make you happy and just live your most amazing and extraordinary life. It's here to keep you safe and alive. So change can either happen in two different ways. Either it hits you damn hard, it's a breakup, it's an accident, or just something that are shaking your life, something radical is happening. Or number two, in the same way that you once learned a certain behavior, well, you can relearn a new behavior through repetition. So then comes the question, how do I actually change? Well, the first I would say is to just observe. Observe yourself without any judgment. When do you shrink? When do you start trying to get approval from anyone or everyone? When do you overperform? Second, don't ask yourself like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why do I always do this and yada yada? Try to ask yourself, when did I learn this? And also think about, how did this belief or this behavior once protect me? What did it do? And then we come into the third part, and that is repetition. New inputs, new people, new stories that you need to learn to tell yourself, and just new identity statements. You don't really force change, I would say. You slowly start integrating them into your life, and you are just forcing out the old patterns and the old beliefs that you had about yourself and the world around you. And sweetheart, I really, really want to tell you this from the bottom of my heart, that you are not lazy, you are not broken, and you are not behind. You're just running on an old program that maybe isn't working for you anymore and where you're heading in your life. And there's just so much hope, because when you see that, you get all your power back to get your life exactly how you want it. Because you don't need to become someone new. You just need to unlearn everything that you have been taught about yourself. And that, my sweetheart, is where freedom actually begins. If this video resonated, send it to a friend that you truly love. Because this, my friend, is not information, it is awareness. And we all need a lot of that.